Aloha everyone, I am Kiran Datwani, your orientation leader for today's session. Registar 101. Before we get started, I will be covering some housekeeping items for today's webinar. First, you should be able to hear me clearly. If you cannot, please note that in the chat box so that we may troubleshoot with you. Simple fixes include connecting your audio on the Zoom window, turning up your computer volume, or using external headphones. Second, please utilize the Q&A function if you have questions for the presenters or about what was shared. For most sessions, all questions will be saved for the end of the presentation. Additionally, participants in the chat are asked to be respectful of others and stay focused on the topic of this webinar so those with questions can easily be seen. Finally, after the session, we will be uploading the recording of this webinar to the Visit Days platform in the video section. All recordings will have closed captioning. Now, I would like to welcome and introduce today's presenter, Pheng Xiong, also known as Max. With that, I'll turn the presentation over to Max.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. As Karen said, my name is Pheng, but I go by Max, and I'm the University Registrar here at UH Manoa. So I'm here today just to give you guys a one-on-one about what we do in the Registrar's office, as that's one of the most common things we get asked is, what is the Registrar's office? So I'm just here to provide you guys with some an overview of both the work and operations that we have in the office. Who we are, the Office of the Registrar, we work closely with student affairs and academic offices to retain, enroll, and register and graduate UH Manoa students. So within our office, we have different units who do different things. So we have a registration unit that oversees registration for fall and summer semesters. They're also able to assist with registration questions, providing course overrides to instructors, helping students generally just navigate the registration process for Manoa. And then we also have Veterans Affairs Unit as well, and they're responsible mostly for certifying our VA students for their veterans benefits. Then the records area, and they're responsible for maintaining your educational record while you're here in Manoa and even after you graduate from Manoa. Then we also have our compliance piece as well, which is really protecting your student privacy under the federal regulation known as the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or just simply FERPA, which protects your rights, your educational records, and your rights under that law. And then we also maintain curriculum management information for the university, which includes like the course catalog, and then graduation services. So in particular, when you're ready to graduate, you apply to graduate through the Office of the Registrar, and then we'll work with your college and schools to clear you for graduation. And then we'll also be responsible for awarding or mailing out your diploma as well once you graduate from the university. So our top services that we provide. So students will request from us at some point in time in their career their official transcript. So the official transcript is a record of your education, of the courses that you've taken here at Manoa, and also includes courses that you may have taken elsewhere, so your transfer coursework. So it also includes grades that you've earned from those courses and degrees that you've earned while you were here at Manoa. Students can request and order their transcripts anytime online. Next week, we'll be rolling out our electronic transcripts, which is a more faster, efficient, and secure way of producing transcripts and fulfilling transcript requests for our students. So we'll be launching that next week, and we're very excited about launching that to our Manoa campus. We also, so as I mentioned earlier, registration is another top service that we provide. So we generate registration time tickets for our students so that they know when they'll be able to register for classes. We also will help students add, drop, withdraw from their courses, and also assist with any registration questions that may come up during the registration process, and also help students do their, if the student needs to do a complete withdrawal, we also assist with that too in the office. So as I mentioned, graduation is another central focus of the office. So when you're ready to graduate, you apply right through the office of the registrar. Then again, we work with the college school to determine your eligibility to graduate. Then we verify your requirements, and then we certify that completion for your degree once you're done with your degree coursework here at Manoa. We also provide other services like enrollment degree verification. So that is, as an example, let's say, we are, one semester, you may need to, an prospective employer asks you for a letter verifying your enrollment at Manoa. So that's one of the services that we provide in the office is for you to submit a request to us on behalf of that third party, whether that be a prospective employer or another agency looking to certify or verify your enrollment. You'll work with us to fulfill that request. Same thing for degree verifications too. We often get that from students who have already graduated or will graduate, and I just need to simply confirm that they will either one, graduate, or two, their degree had already been awarded. So that's a request that we usually get from students that are ready to graduate or they've already graduated. Veterans educational benefits. So again, if you're a veteran and you are using veterans benefits to pay for your education here in Manoa, our office can and will assist you through that process along the way. We know it's a stressful process, but our goal is to make it as less stressful as possible for our VA students. Then we also manage the university's academic calendar, which lists important deadlines for students, including registration dates, the deadlines to make a tuition payment. So if you are ever curious to know when registration is, when is the last day to drop, when is the last day to withdraw from the course, go into our calendar, and specifically our website would be the most important resource for you during your time here in Manoa. So during COVID, our office hours, at least during pandemic hours this summer, we have several ways in which you can reach our office. So we have the virtual front desk, which is basically you log in and you get to meet, you will be able to chat with video conference with a staff member via Zoom, and that's from 9 to 12. And then we also have our window opened as well in the Student Services building here in Manoa on the ground floor from 9 to 3. There's also phone hours as well. And that's our main office number that you see on there. And of course, emails as well. And you could see what those emails are directly on our office website, because we have several email addresses as to help better triage questions and emails that come through from students and our faculty staff. So starting August 23rd, the first week of class, we'll be going back to our normal 8 to 4 office hours, and we'll still have phone and virtual front desk hours available for students that may not be on campus. So I know that was pretty quick, but are there any questions that I can answer?
Yes, Max, we have tons of questions coming in, so
Okay.
buckle up. Let's get into them. So the first question is a student has asked if they have to drop a class, do they just come to the registrar or do they go to their academic advisor?
Yeah, so if you have to drop a class, you can do that via STAR before the last day to drop. Afterwards, you will need to then work with the academic advisor to petition for a drop or withdrawal of that course.
Perfect. What about like late drops? Like if they want to change their schedule and maybe it's past, are there exceptions to that? Is there a past the deadline policy? Like what does that look like in the semester?
Yeah, so the process is every college school has its process for how they determine how they deal with late withdrawals and late drops, right? So I would strongly encourage students to work with their major advisor in their primary college to determine what that process is, because some may have a committee that will review. Others may just be up to the individual academic advisor or the college.
Perfect. And a couple questions about transcripts here. So somebody's saying if we need a transcript for a job or a scholarship, is there a maximum amount that they can request?
No, there's no maximum amount that you can request.
And there is a cost though, is that right?
Yes, yep, there is a cost. So the cost per transcript is $5, and that's the cost for Manoa. And then the vendor that we contract to fulfill the requests, the orders, they charge a service fee as well. And I believe it's $250 for the paper transcripts, and I believe it's $350 for the electronic transcript. So it could cost. So the final cost could range from $750 to $850.
And what is the difference? Why would somebody choose a paper transcript over an electronic transcript?
Yeah, so the paper transcript, right, I think would be more beneficial to those students that need to pick it up, or if the employer or third party requests a paper transcript. The e-transcript is very helpful for those individuals who may not need it rushed, but they may want it sooner rather than later. And maybe the third party will be accepting of the electronic transcript. The electronic transcript also is mostly accepted by a lot of third parties, mainly because it's more secure than the paper transcript, because it has different security features. I think they call it blue ribbon security. Just prevents people from forging transcripts, and they can copy it. So I think for our purposes here in Manoa, we highly encourage the e-transcript over the paper transcript one, because it's quicker, it's faster, and it's more secure for our students.
And is there, this kind of just building on that, a secondary question I typically see from students too is the use of an informal transcript. Is that a thing? Is there an informal transcript they can find somewhere? And why would they use that versus a formal transcript?
Yeah, so I would assume a formal transcript, you mean unofficial, right?
Yeah, unofficial.
Yeah, so the unofficial transcript, students can obtain an unofficial transcript at any time through their STAR, the STAR application, right? The STAR portal. And an unofficial is okay. It's mainly meant for the students to use for their own personal use, not to really share with third parties right?
Mhm.
Mainly because that's just a snapshot of your educational record, but may not contain everything about your educational record that an employee may need. Because
Mhm.
on the official transcript, we may include things like your academic standing. We will also include the major that you're pursuing, the college you're in, transfer credit you may have. And we also include special notations, like on the reverse of the transcript called a transcript key, that may be of interest to that third party if they need to figure out what a grade means or why we did something a certain way. The transcript key will help explain those things to the third party.
Okay, great. Now there is a question in here. Do we have to pay for our diploma? So somebody thinking ahead, which we love to hear, but what happens with the diploma? Maybe you can kind of give us a little background too on what to expect when graduating from the university as well.
Yeah, so when you apply to graduate, you are charged a $30 diploma fee, or technically it's a graduation fee here in Manoa. And that just goes towards the processing of your graduation application and also covers the fees for the diploma here in Manoa. At the present moment, it's a one-time charge to all of our students at the present moment. So we highly encourage students to only apply to graduate when they're ready. So that means they've talked with their major advisor. The advisor has confirmed that they're good to go, that they can apply to graduate. So then they can then apply, and then once we receive the application, then we would then apply the graduation fee to the student's record, or at least the student account, so that they can pay for the graduation fee through my UH.
Perfect.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for exploring a little bit more on that. What is the most common service that students come to the registrar for?
I would say this past spring semester was definitely transcripts.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say there is a top. I think most students will come to us mostly for transcripts, but also for registration during the registration periods, right? So it just depends on the time of year and when certain things happen. So as we wrap up summer, begin the fall semester, we'll see an uptick in registration related questions. As we wrap up graduation for the summer, then we'll see an uptick in graduation, and then transcript related questions. So it depends on the time of year. So yeah, it's hard to really pinpoint what is the top.
Sure.
It just all really depends.
And regarding those registration questions that they come into the registrar for, our assistants, is there a top question that you routinely see students asking about or having issues with registration? Is there one or two of those top issues that students regularly come for assistance?
I would say course overrides, right? Prerequisites in particular, and closed courses, right? So closed course sections, prerequisites, how registration issues via STAR. But I think when it comes to overrides, right, we usually would direct students to the instructor, especially since the instructor would be the one that can grant an override for that section. But we do encourage students to reach out to us so that we can explore it more about why a student's not able to register, because it could just be, maybe a transfer credit's not come in yet, or it may be a legitimate, prerequisite has not been met, or the section was closed, or the student may be on a wait list.
Okay.
So it all varies.
Okay. So let's say a student, because, we have a lot of incoming students. That's, the purpose of our session today. And so they might be looking for classes that are closed. They have closed sections or they're on the wait list. Is there any information you can give that's more broadly that hopefully gives them direction on what to expect being on the wait list? What does that mean?
Sure, yeah. So being on the wait list, just so if a course section is closed, then if students have been additional students who are interested in enrolling in that class have been put on what we call the wait list, right? So that's a queue of where students wait until a seat is opened. And a seat is usually opened when a student drops a course or when the college or department adds more seats to that section. And it's usually in the order that a student was placed on that list. So if a student drops, it's whoever is next in line that would get a Pheng, I believe, in STAR to begin to register for the class.
Okay.
And then, so it just continues going. That process continues until until after the period, the last day to add, or until the instructor provides a student with an override, which an instructor could do, but they'll usually do that on a case-by-case basis.
And speaking of that deadline and the registration, is there, I want to basically ask about like no-shows and as students coming to class and making sure that they're going to their classes, especially in those first couple weeks. Do you have any more information about our new incoming students, what they can expect from that expectation?
So the no-show participation verification process, that's going to be very important for all of our students, incoming and continuing. So what we mean by no-show is that during the first week of classes, we expect that students will be attending classes that they've registered for, and that they'll be actively participating in those classes during that first week. So by actively participating, we are defining that as a student emailing the instructor, right, for assistance with maybe an assignment or questions about the syllabus, or participating in class discussions, right, whether that be online, if it's an online class, or if it's in person, attending that class physically. Because one of the things that we asked the instructor to do the following week is to confirm your participation. So the instructor would then go into their MyUH account, and they'll certify the roster and each student, and they'll select the student that have not participated, and then as an office, we'll reach out to the student to kind of nudge them to confirm if they're going to be in attendance for that class. And then we give the students a chance to clarify things with their instructor, to confirm their enrollment, and for them to stay in the class. Because after that period where the faculty go in to certify, the week after, then my office will administratively drop students from those sections they're not participating in. But along the way, we communicate with you. We communicate with a faculty member to make sure that everybody's on the same page. If it turns out to be that you are dropped in error, there is a process in place to put you back in the class. But that process begins with a conversation between you and your instructor. And based on that conversation, the instructor would then submit a request to the Office of the Vice Provost for Academic Excellence. And they'll do the final approval and decide what next steps is, and specifically whether or not to add the student back to the class. If the student, if that request is approved, then my office will administratively add the student back. But along the way, we communicate with you, but it's just goes to show that for the first week of class, and even after the first week of class, we want our students to demonstrate that they are actively participating in the courses that they're registered for. And if they're not able to participate that week and something comes up, to be in communication with the instructor. So the instructor can accurately mark your participation.
Great, thank you. And a student put in here that they heard something about how financial aid can only cover their degree-related courses. Is that true? And does that mean they can't take, you know, an art class that's not their degree related or anything like that? What does that mean?
Yeah, so I think the individuals is talking about course program study, right? Which has been, which is something that UH Manoa and the other 9 campuses are implementing this fall. So what this means is that students who are receiving financial aid for aid purposes, they should only be taking courses that are applicable towards their degree. So by applicable towards the degree, we mean that the courses are listed in their STAR degree pathways. So this is your degree audit, because your degree audit will list out specific requirements that you must fulfill in order to graduate. Sometimes they list courses, specific courses. Sometimes they may say take 4 electives, right? So long as those electives you select fulfill those requirements, then financial aid will cover. And we do highly encourage students to work with their major advisor to make sure that courses that they're taking are fulfilling their degree requirements, regardless if they're taking financial aid or not. Because we want to make sure that you stay on the right path towards graduation and don't deviate too much from that path.
Right, thank you. And I think I can't tell if this is from maybe an Ohana or a student, but they say, I keep on hearing this thing about FERPA. What is this and why do I have to sign a form about it? Like what exactly are they doing with that?
Yeah, so FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, right? And FERPA protects your rights as students at Manoa. So it is your educational records. So that means that we as a university can't release your student records to outside third parties without your consent. So that includes grades, grades that you've earned in courses, the specific courses you've taken. We also can't share non-directory information. So by non-directory information, we mean things like your email address, again, your courses, your address, your home address, your permanent address, your address on campus, your social security number. Those are things that we are restricted from sharing. But we can share directory information, which is your name, first, middle, last, your, oh, now I'm drawing a blank here. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
1 second. So yeah, it's going to be, oops, FERPA. Yeah, so things that we can share about you will be your name, first, last, middle, your major, your class. So it means whether or not you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, whether or not you participate in any UH Manoa recognized student organizations, your dates of attendance, whether or not you're part-time, full-time, degrees that you've been awarded, and any type of honors or awards that you've gotten during your time here at Manoa. So that's what we consider direct information. And then your non-direct information are just things that we can't share, like things I've mentioned before, social security number, date of birth, grades, classes, class schedule, things like that we cannot share. But FERPA just protects your rights as a student, and it just holds us as the university accountable as custodians of your student record.
Okay, great. And I know my office gets a lot of those questions too. So that's very helpful. Thank you. Okay, another question. If my dad is a veteran and I'm using his GI Bill, do I have to let you know? And what do I do for those benefits?
Yeah, so if your dad's a veteran and you are utilizing the benefits, there is a form that you will fill out, which is available on our website, which will then certify, which would then help us verify and certify your eligibility for those benefits. These steps are also included on our website. And I don't know the steps too well, to be honest. But we also encourage our students to reach out to the Veterans Benefits Group, and they can also work through the process too.
Perfect. And we do have a session next week, Thursday. I believe it's at 1. There's a Veteran Student Services presentation. So if you are using educational benefits, or you just want to connect with other veterans or other military connected individuals, join that session because that would be super helpful, I think, for you as well. So I believe I can understand where this question is coming from. So the question is there a no credit or credit option for online classes due to COVID? And I think they're kind of referring to last spring when we had the onset of the pandemic and the credit, no credit change. Is there anything different for this fall? Are we back to normal? Like, what does that look like for regarding COVID?
Yeah, so the credit, no credit option for COVID-19, that was a one-time option, and that was only for spring 2020. Yeah, spring 2020. I was going to say 21, but I was like, wait, it's 2020. How the year has gone by. But yeah, so just similarly to last fall and last spring, this fall is also going to be like normal for grading options. So if credit, no credit is not already an option for the courses you're enrolled in, then assume that it's just going to be the normal grading.
Okay, perfect. And last question I see here is, I think it's actually a very good question. I think it applies to a lot of people, and a lot of people might wonder this. But so say you're ordering a transcript, but you don't know what's going to be on it. You are a little concerned, what does that look like? What is it? Is there a way to access their official transcript prior to sending it to other people?
So the best way to do it is to look at your unofficial transcript, because if you request your official transcript, you will have to pay for it. Okay. So because your unofficial should look almost identical the official transcript will just contain more information that may not be on the unofficial. Okay. But if you're curious to know what your official looks like, I myself am, I'm a grad student. I'm a PhD student at another institution. So what I usually do at the end of every semester is I would order my own official transcript, just so I know what the information's on there and that's correct. So I highly encourage our students to do the same too, because it is your educational record and you want to make sure that it is accurate.
That's a great tip. I think too, upon graduation too, I've seen a lot of people just order a couple paper copies anyways, because you might need to provide them to jobs or graduate schools. And if you already have some paper copies with you, it could make the process a little bit easier or seamless. But making sure that you're waiting until after that degree is conferred, right? Because that's a big part of your official transcripts.
Yep, that's a big part. So, if you are graduating, we strongly encourage students to wait until that degree is posted. When you order your transcript, you're given 2 options: to hold for your final grades or to hold for your degree, or for us to process as normal. So if you select either of those 2 latter options, we'll wait until one of those 2 conditions are met. So if you're waiting for your degree, we won't process that request until your degree has been posted.
Oh, a new question just came in. It says, on STAR, some of the courses I am registered for have TBA/TBD on their meeting times. Does that mean that these are asynchronous classes?
I believe they could either be synchronous or asynchronous because they might not have a location yet, or they may be completely online. So I would just, if you click on the class section and start, it should provide you with more information about that class. Or you can also reach out to the instructor as well, and the instructor can provide you more details about how that class will meet.
If it has TBA though on time, would that still mean that a time isn't established for a synchronous class?
It might be an asynchronous class
Okay.
then if it's the time.
Okay.
Yeah. But
But
always
still,
double
if you
check
have
with
questions, follow up with your faculty. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Always double check with the faculty because the schedule may say one thing, but their faculty may decide to do it another way, which they shouldn't, but double check.
Okay, that's good. Any other questions? It looks like we're out of the questions in the Q&A. We'll give a couple more minutes if any of our attendees have any extra questions for our registrar here. We'll give you a couple more minutes to enter them. We've had some great questions so far. Okay.
Thank you for joining us today for this presentation. We hope that you gained some helpful information from Max. If you have further questions that were not discussed, please email your OL or nrwo@hawaii.edu for assistance. As mentioned, this webinar will be published on the NSO platform, so please visit that page for the recording as well as links or documents mentioned by today's guest. Mahalo.